The statistics says vice versa. We are coming from 98 political prisoners in 2014 to 130 in 2018. After the implementation of the project, we are coming from zero number of defamation, criminal prosecution of defamation in 2013 to 5 arrested people in 2017. So we are coming from zero arrests for defamation during in 3 years between 2011 and 2014 to 5 arrests between 2015 and 2017, and including a lot of fining cases. Overall, 120 cases during these 3 years of implementation. Are you sure you've been teaching, or the Council of Europe was teaching judges right things? There were 5 courts that were implementing CEPG recommendations, and you were speaking about the clearance rate, which was not a problematic issue before the project started. But for example, on 29th of May this year, we witnessed Yasamal District Court, which was one of the pilot project courts. We witnessed Yasamal District Court not allowing people to the trial of Azergasim, the real board member, on that day, and issuing the verdict based on solely on the police account of non-happened things. Are you sure the Council of Europe is actually giving the right recommendation to the judges here? Because the number of NGOs is much lower than in 2013, than before the project started. The crackdown is being documented by a number of international organizations. Are you sure you are progressing, or is that the right direction?
I am sure that within that project, we, in the partnership with the Council of Europe and with our trainers, we provide the best quality of materials and the best quality of teaching. I'm pretty sure about that. At least we provide the materials and the principles and the teaching using the methodology in which we believe, which we use for ourselves. Secondly, I mentioned in my opening speech that in the recent meeting of the Eastern Partnership countries, there were areas which were marked with a good progress, but there were still areas which were not seeing the sufficient progress or the progress which we desire to see. And it's the first step to recognize the existing problem if we want to move and correct that. I'm pretty sure that without any training, we may have had the situation probably even worse. I would insist that the only way to hope for the better is to continue and maybe intensify the trainings, maybe to enlarge that. But again, the numbers that you said are important, and it's very important to convey them with the authorities. They have committed with us, at least with the European Union, for working together in these partnership priorities on the areas that you listed: rule of law, democracy, human rights, engagement of the civil society. So I hope very much that we will continue that work, and the first step to progressing is a recognition of these problems. I think it's very important to bring them up, but we need to let the translator work. I'm sorry for that.
It was the question from her, so she doesn't need a translator.
What would you answer to the critics who say that imitating the cooperation while there is no real cooperation is actually a money laundering, which is one of your objectives? So they accuse Council of Europe in money laundering of development.
Well, let the Council of Europe answer directly for those accusations. I have not heard that. If these accusations of European Union money laundering come to us, I would bluntly deny that. I think we have our internal audits which make sure we don't do that. The other question is
PGG.
the other question is how much, first of all, the participants take from the trainings that are provided. We cannot force people to learn like every pupil in the school. I mean, you can create the conditions for people to take, but you cannot force people to do some things. Again, I think what we spend, we believe we are spending for the good cause, and my honest recommendation is that we would continue, and if we see the problems coming up, we need to address them directly, and I mean not shy away from naming them is the first step, and then try to correct them. I think Zoltan wants to say a word.
Yes, just accusations or that. So every euro cent spent within this program is documented. So, and the spending is supervised by independent financial auditors, and all these accounts are available and transparent on the.
I've been asking Mr. Yankauskas about the progress in the PGG. We come from zero criminal prosecution for defamation in 2013, and zero arrests for defamation between 11 and 14, to 5 long-term arrests during the time you've been implementing the project. We are coming from 98 political prisoners in 2014 to 130 in 2018. So we are coming from you speak about the pilot courts, and we've been witnessing the courts that are in the pilot project, including the Yasamal District Court. One of the examples is 29th of May, the arrest decision about Azerbaijan when the public was not allowed to the court, and the court verdict was based solely on the police account. So, and the ECHR has issued 7 verdicts on political prosecution on Article 18 of the European Convention. Most of the judgments are based on the judicial decisions covering 15 and 17 in local courts. So are you sure you are teaching the right thing to judiciary in Azerbaijan, and are you sure the recommendations that you are giving to judiciary are right?
Here I think the problem is that there was a change of legislation in Azerbaijan regarding defamation, the criminalization of defamation, and one of the aim of the Council of Europe was to change this legislation, but since this legislation in force, so the judges have to implement this legislation. They have no, how to say, other possibilities than follow what is in the legislation. Our aim is to provide with them, with this knowledge, with this know-how, how the issues of defamation are covered by the European Convention on Human Rights, and also provide good examples, best practices of other member states, how they are dealing with such issues. So,
how will you explain the rise in numbers?
You mean?
Like you teach judges here, you covered a lot of judiciary.
We are sharing the.
And how do you assess the rise in numbers?
It's very, how to say, we cannot expect a miracle and a quick result. We started this project only in 2015, so it's the 3rd year of our engagement. And what we can do in such situation is disseminate knowledge, disseminate standards, disseminate best practices, and it is the right, and it is the responsibility of Azerbaijani authorities to make the right decisions and implement. Let's try to explain again. So Azerbaijan has a legislation on defamation. Defamation is criminalized. It's a criminal offense.
Yeah, but it was not in use
but
for many years.
Yes, but it was this change has nothing to do with the Council of Europe.
You praised the Azerbaijani government for solid commitment and indispensable cooperation, despite the crackdown on NGOs, despite the non-cooperation in changing legislation on NGOs, despite the rising number of the arrest for defamation, despite rising number of political imprisonment cases recognized by the European Court of Human Rights. So you praise the government on indispensable cooperation. Do I understand right, or this is what the crackdown on civil society is what Council of Europe expecting the Azerbaijani government to cooperate on?
We are expecting the Azerbaijani government to establish a genuine dialogue and cooperation between civil society and the government, to involve them, into decision-making processes. So that's why we also implemented, it's not a PGG, another setup, another program on the civil society dialogue. No one of the international organizations present here did such a commitment to improve the situation in Azerbaijan. So you have to see it very clearly.
But you've been praising for solid commitment and...
Because, Azerbaijani government might have said that we are not cooperating on this issue because the situation is perfect in our country.
Azerbaijani government refused to accept any recommendation on NGO legislation. As far as I understood, the two experts that were involved by Council of Europe, their recommendations were rejected, right?
I do not confirm this because it's still an ongoing process. So we will come back to this issue in the next phase of the project, hopefully, which will start next year.
So 3 years were not enough to revise one piece of legislation?
This concrete project was not 3 years, it was less than 2 years.
2 years, yes. It was not enough to...
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
So we have to...
What would you answer to the critiques who say that imitation of the progress, while there is no progress, is itself, and continuing spending taxpayers' money is itself the money laundering?
No. I think it's not a money laundering. Money laundering if you spend money in a non-transparent way. That's what I told you, that every euro cent which is spent in Azerbaijan is transparent. So you will find, financial audit reports, and you can follow the way of every euro spent.
Including the ones that are spent by local partners who are actually pro-government organizations?
The Council of Europe is not giving direct grants in such cases. It's also one of...
So we will only see the sub-grantees' names, but not their financial reports, right?
We requesting, financial reports from every spending. So everything is documented, and
they will be also on...
It will be available, yes. All these reports will be available and are available on the website of the Council of Europe.
Okay, thank you.